here at the Mary Jane fair. We are from the Pirate Party. My name is Bruno Kramm. I'm the chairman and I'm a candidate on list place number 1 for the coming election in Berlin. And this is my colleague from the chairmanship.
My name is Franz Josef Schmidt. I'm the second on the list and I'm also active in the chair board of the Pirate Party in Berlin.
And we're basically here with our stand because the Pirate Party is quite well known for having I would say a profound and big program which is all over all kind of drugs. So it's not only about cannabis and it's not only about legalizing cannabis, it's more about the general look on drugs and how drug policies have been in the past, because we are more in an aspect of legalizing everything for certain reasons. First of all, to dry out the criminal market, because when you start really to legalize drugs, that you get them at official places, you can dry out the illegal market. Then on the second, you can make even taxes on it. You can tax it when you can buy all kinds of drugs. And the even more important thing is that it's for the user more safety. It means we can control better what kind of drugs, what quality is given to the user, meaning I go down, for example, to a pharmacy and I tell them, well, tonight I would like to have this kind of trip or that kind of trip, what could you recommend me? In this case, it's even the pharmacist who can say to you like, well, if I look at you with your certain weight and age, do you have perhaps some heart problems or not? Then he can give a recommendation. So it's not only about the quality of the drugs, it's also that a pharmacist can tell you what is more safe. And if you put all these points together, having more tax income, instead of using stupid more and more policy and fighting with police against consumers, you then stop this criminal market, you have more tax income, and you have more safety for the consumer. And these 3 points are the main points for our drug policy, which is not only about cannabis. Of course, cannabis is having a special place because when it comes to hemp, there's so many different kind of products which are made from this that it's a long time it is needed to legalize it, because it's a huge market for consumers and it brings basically more than it risks at all. So of course we can discuss both aspects, and for example when we in Berlin talk always about like having a coffee shop like in the Dutch countries, then it is for certain reasons. For example, to decriminalize the market. For example, there are some regions in Berlin where you can buy all kinds of drugs, and basically when you want to have some dope to smoke, just to relax, you have to go to markets where you never can control what kind of quality you are given. If there's perhaps mixed some opiates into it, which make you then really like severely sick, and you have never a chance to like fight for having a good quality, because you have no place where you can go and say like, oh, this strip was no shit. There is no quality. So basically, we're for a long time, and I think Berlin is the open city where it would work to have this kind of coffee shop. And I know we tried out in Friedrichshain-Kreuzberg long time, also at the part of the parliament as Pirate, to have this shop. But still it is not easy, as the conservative parties are still having the zero tolerance policies. Well, the Pirate Party in Germany, I would say, is quite big. We were the first party then after Sweden entering parliaments. Like the first parliament which had been entered was the Berlin Abgeordnetenhaus, which happened almost 5 years ago. Now it's again on the run for the next election. And after Berlin, it was some kind of wave going throughout all over Germany. So the next parliament we entered was in Nordrhein-Westfalen, we entered in Schleswig-Holstein, we entered in Saarland. And it went on like this, and I hope we can now go on in Berlin to present that we're doing a really good work, because basically what we hope that in 2017 that we will also enter the Bundestag, which is the highest parliament in Germany.
there was an initiative in politics already in the 70s to think about legalization. At that time, Germany might have been a progressive country. But today, I feel, except the pirates, there's not a real drive behind the political issues at the moment that really focus on a legalization. This is really something where Germany went a bit into the countries which are behind in the drug politics. So especially, as Bruno said, the general liberalization of the market and to free the market from criminalization, there are also some special reasons for marijuana and hemp, for example. So this is also something where we started this initiative to give bird seeds to the people, because as everyone knows, hemp has a very traditional industrial application. Hemp is an industrial product that is useful for many applications. For example, here in Berlin, it's even used for building the houses. And this was substituted in the recent years by chemical products, plastic products, which are worse in application, more expensive, and of course badlier for the nature. And the Pirate Party is pointing especially also on these points to show the people how stupid such developments are. And we have the big issue of applying hemp and marijuana as therapeutic medical medicine. Lots of people depend on such medicine. They have some serious chronic diseases which are clearly released as by their own feelings by smoking marijuana or taking marijuana, and the substitution by chemical medical substances is absolutely unreasonable. And we are sure that especially the pirates point out these aspects in the program, but the other parties unfortunately are not going further, and that led to the fact that Germany is now went from a progressive to a country which is behind in drug politics.
Mm-hmm. It's also quite sad that I was always hoping that as a effect of European harmonization, we could have thought that the good role model of Dutch will come over all over Europe. This was always my big hope, but you should not forget about that there's a huge pharmaceutical industry which do not like to legalize like products which are more healthy, having less risks beside and all these aspects, but are also more cheap to be produced. I'll tell you a funny story about my hometown area. I come from Bavaria, where I was raised and born. And my grandfather was still telling me the story that in the old times at the farms, it was normal that the young boys who were not allowed to smoke normal tobacco, because they were too young still, that they went behind the farmhouse and there was growing marijuana and they were just smoking this, the boys. This is a traditional thing in Bavaria. It was at this time called Karza in Bavaria. It was normal that young boys were smoking marijuana, but at one point they stopped and were smoking normal tobacco because they didn't like the side effect of being a little bit doped. So basically it's really funny if you think about this part of history in a really conservative region like Bavaria, where you could hope that a more open drug policy like in the Dutch countries could come through European laws and with the standards of trying to have one law all over Europe, but unfortunately so far it was not working, but it's still a long way. And therefore it's really important that fairs like this Mary Jane is here happening, because it shows it is now a huge industrial branch. There are so many countries all over the world which show that basically there is no negative effect at all when you legalize it. Oregon is a wonderful example. They are here with their own stand, the state of Oregon from the United States of America. It is a huge growing industry. It showed with studies that not more people become addicted to drugs. It's actually opposite effect, because the quality is now controlled. People can much better control what kind of amount of percentage of marijuana they are using, that they don't get sick from it. Because, you know, another fact and problem is always the dosage. And it's sometimes really hard to estimate the right dosage. If you have a state place where it's controlled, legalized, possibility to purchase, then you always know what kind of percentage of drug you have inside. And then it's better controllable. So there is so many aspects which make it really definitely sure that we need to have this kind of legalization, and this means not only marijuana, all other drugs also.
And getting back to marijuana, which is the current situation for the home growers, for the self-growers here in Germany?
Well, it's a little bit, of course there's a huge black market. You can see what you can buy, what kind of lands and systems. Of course it is in a small amount allowed to grow, but only in a small amount. Because when you have bigger amounts and when you want to do it really professionally, you need to grow a little bit more, then you're quite fast called a criminal, because they call it then like it's an industrial kind of production. So you have to be really careful what you can call like your personal use. It's one plant, what I use for myself, and if it's then suddenly 3, 4, 5 plants, they call it industrial production. So that's the problem, as there is no clear law on that, no clear legalization. It is really still easy that you fall into the trap that you become a criminal, although you only plant the amount what you need for yourself.
In Germany we have a little bit the situation that the politics is behind. The politics constructs the law, and the politics is still hesitating to legalize. So now even the justice went a step further, and there was a waypointing court decision just some weeks ago that a person who could prove that the treatment of his disease, the chronic treatment, is supported by marijuana, is now allowed to use it as an official medicine. And this is somehow making me suspicious when politics is not able to step into the right direction of what's just reasonable. So that's like the same with these hemp seeds. So they are absolutely not a drug. They don't have some effect. So they are just from industrial hemp. So we used them to feed the birds. And of course the police came and teared down the plants growing from it, except the fact that these plants were just industrial hemp. And there was even the police brought even one of the pirates to court in Chemnitz due to this seeds. And this is always making me suspicious if politics is not able to make a clear, serious decision, but is somehow putting a carpet or a cloak over the situation by not talking about it seriously, not changing the law. And the court, we have this situation of the separation of legislative and justice and executive in Germany. And this is so important because here we see that the justice is the one who is making the right decisions and who is not looking over these situations. And I believe the reason behind is what Bruno pointed out, that the industry is not interested in letting hemp grow to an applicable British product, because then they cannot sell their own products anymore.
So where you see the drug politics in Germany in 3 to 5 years, and where do you see the Pirate Party in 3 to 5 years?
First of all, I think that everything will go at one point into direction legalization, because even scientists are showing now and proving that it is needed to be done. So I think it's only a question of time that this legalization comes. But until it comes, especially conservative parties will try to do everything to stop it. At the end, everybody will realize that you just win on it, that you make more taxes, that you have more security, that you have less of criminal structures. And this is basically what also conservative parties want. So it's basically just to trying more and more to go on with the arguments, explaining what's behind, and then this change will come. It is just sad that it took so many decades. And I think the drugs are a perfect example for showing how slow sometimes politics react to changes in society. We live in a liberal and in a free society, but we're not free to decide what kind of drugs we use. This is insane. This has to change. And I think we as a party can do our steps and our part of it to explaining more and more to society why it's important to legalize drugs at all.
There are several similar aspects like the drug policy where just a way of a serious analysis of the situation will lead society to the right direction. And that's somehow something I believe also the Pirate Party will grow with in the next 25 years. So if we look, for example, at the basic income, it's also something which is discussed worldwide, and there's an agreement in the economics that it's something that comes on the highest standard of the economic growth of states, that there's a need to develop a basic income for the population. And so I think the Pirate Party is the most progressive party in Germany and also in Europe. It's a worldwide movement we see that grabs these points which are seriously somehow a vision, but a reasonable vision for the future. And as these points will come, not only in drug politics, but there and in other situations, also the Pirate Party will accompany these developments. And I think Pirate Party will stand in 25 years similar to what we see maybe in Iceland at the moment. In Iceland, the Pirate Party is left as the trustable institution that after the Panama Papers scandal and the bank financial crash of 2008, it turned out that the pirates are the transparent and the serious and the true people that just want to do something that helps the people to organize their life in a serious situation.
To make a final point about the Pirate Party globally, because you started to talk about the global aspects of it, I think there's no other movement, political movement, which is having globally branches which are having the same ideas. You can go all around the world, South America to Russia to the United States, everywhere is the Pirate Party. And you will find out that they basically have all the same kind of political issues. It's about basic unconditional income, it is about more transparency, it is about legalization of drugs, it is about an update for democracy, meaning we live today in a global world. In this global world, the national politics are not working anymore because there is one level higher where it's today transnational corporations who are trying to decide how does trade work and how does politics work. Best example is TTIP, the Trans-Pacific Trade and Investment Partnership, where you can see there's a lack of democracy. The people of the United States and the people of Europe cannot decide about this trade agreement while it is basically completely discussed between lobbyists from huge corporations, showing that we have a huge lack of democracy. And this is what brings Pirate Party back, because we have this idea of creating a global vision of people living on all parts of the world. And we have distributed and created tools that even give a possibility to globally interfere. We have liquid democracy, which is a tool with which you can all over the world decide about what kind of politics you want to have. So basically our idea is to give an opposite weight to this overweight of transnational corporations by the people, that they can then globally together decide, for example, do we want to have a TTIP or do we want to have an alternative trade mandate? And therefore I think this is the most important future point of the Pirate Party, to create this tool for global participation of all the people. And this is, I think we're just at the beginning, but this is something where I think the real worth of this Pirate Party just starts to grow. We're just in the beginning. We're happy to be part of it.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much.